Cheese got an agent before I did.
Binky!
Considering the constant content churn, I don't blame you if you missed this. Yeah, Cheese got an agent. I moved to Los Angeles this summer with only student debt from an acting degree in a suitcase.
If I were a rich man.
And yeah, Cheese got an agent before I did.
Binky!
Of course, I didn't move to Los Angeles to go Hollywood, right? I, like so many before me, moved here accidentally when I was cat sitting for a married couple. But still, even as someone who no longer is following a dream of having my name outside the Chinese theater or my bust on Mount Rushmore by the Hollywood sign, just as someone who loves movies, who covers TV and movies for a living, the Cheese story, it curdled with me.
Binky!
But it wasn't just that story, right? It was others. That story was in dialogue with all of this.
It makes me so sad how poor I
I may
am.
look real, but there is no need to be afraid of me.
I am thrilled to announce that my voice and I are joining 11 Labs. Try it for yourself.
Have to show the kids that you can chase your dreams. I'm not going back to Fisher Bay. Ever. I'd rather myself.
Who is show business actually for anymore? In all these stories, creativity doesn't sound like the winner, right? You know, the bidding war for Tilly Norwood and artificial intelligence that Emily Blunt says is really scary and who actors are convinced are going to lose their jobs to. But although I will say, in Tilly Norwood's defense, her creator says this.
Threat to to real actors. I don't think she's a threat at all.
So Tilly is currently working.
She is working.
And earning.
Yes.
So she's clearly earning and displacing earnings which would have gone to real actors?
I wouldn't say so.
Which doesn't make any sense. You know who definitely doesn't sound like the winner are the union laborers putting blood, sweat, and tears into an industry, trying to make Hollywood Hollywood again. My queasy stomach, it's aching for answers to one question.
How do you make it in show business or whatever? And what I always tell them, I've said it many years, and nobody ever takes note of it because it's not the answer they wanted to hear. What they want to hear is, here's how you get an agent, here's how you write a script, here's how you do this, But I always say, be so good they can't ignore you. And I just think that if somebody's thinking, how can I be really good? People are going to come to you.
But what does undeniable mean, really? Because, heading into 2026, Tilly Norwood is the name making headlines in all the trades. And if Tilly Norwood and the rights to Michael Caine are the new undeniable, and they live in cyberspace, then what's an actual person, an undeniable human being in the real world supposed to do, and where do they go? What advice would Steve Martin 3000 impart onto them? Because, these days, show business is a slow business. Hollywood is dying on the Sunset and Vine, okay? The starving artist trope, the Hollywood dream, the child of the American one, undermines the industry's legitimacy as just that, an industry. Who cares if someone made, say, Jesus the Son? Who cares if someone made, let's say, unimpeachably delicious Parmesan cheese, if there were no cheesemongers available where to distribute delicious dairy products? Right? Does that make sense? You wouldn't be mad at the cheese. You wouldn't be mad at the cheese man. The cheese man did nothing wrong here. It's a maddening situation to ponder. But as I did, I was surprised that I kept coming back to one pretty unhinged example of something unignorably good and confoundingly human that has broken through the slop. The Chair Company, baby. Okay. It's HBO's biggest comedy hit of the year, and it's a series at its core about corporate ennui and capitalism-born paranoia. Its record-breaking audience numbers are also confounding, right? They shouldn't make sense given Tim Robinson's extremely specific brand of, like, panic attack slapstick. Yet something in it connected. And for me, amid this sort of existential crisis, connecting one real-life story inside the Chair Company cast became like a buoy, you know, to keep me afloat. So in search of insight, I called Glo Tavarez. Glo is a human with 14 years of hard work under her belt. She's someone who, if Tilly Norwood is undeniable because, like, a spreadsheet said that she is, Glo is undeniable precisely because no code could ever catch her, right? Or replicate her path that got her here. Fresh off the Chair Company season 1's finale and its season 2 renewal, where Glo broke out in her role as Jamie, the religious assistant to Ron, Tim Robinson's character. So who better to tag in for insight into all things AI, romanticism, making it or not in Hollywood, and everything in between.
Like, AI can't do what I do. Like, it cannot do what background does. It cannot do what anyone does. Like, it is not, it is a scam. That is another bubble that's going to burst. And, you know, maybe we'll find a place for AI in the future, but I think where we're trying to put it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, the reason why it's shrinking is just because there was a bubble for a while. And I think in the 90s, we had so much television and we only got more and more channels and more and more channels and more and more channels. And it was profitable to have a television channel because of commercials. And then Netflix happened and it just kept inflating, right? And there were no more commercials. So they were like, we'll give you less money, but there's more work to be had. So we did a trade-off. Like, a lot of actors, a lot of famous actors, a lot of not famous actors were like, well, I'm getting paid less money now, but there's more work. And then that bubble has since burst. And there's been like 2 bubbles that I guess have burst. And now everything's kind of settling down. And even though there's no money and everyone's poor, but I think other in life, everyone's poor. Other than that, like, it does make me so sad, Nick. Like, it makes me so sad how poor I am because I think, you know, like, if it was the 90s, I would be fucking fine. In the acting world, I've been on several TV shows. I've, like, had commercials that were national. Like, you know, I've had levels of success that are really nice. The money is just not the same as it would have been if I were famous in the 90s, or, like, you know, a working actor in the 90s. Not famous. I'm not famous now, but, like, it's just different. Like, it's hard to make a living off of art, and I think that's really difficult. But I do think it'll come back. I think people are gonna find. I think right now there seems to be a lot more auditions and a lot more production happening, is because I think these studios are being like, okay, we got to make something though. Like, AI isn't doing what we want it to do, so we got to start making shit. And I think they're gonna start seeing that, you know, the actual craft is in humanity and not in fucking computers. Like, fuck a computer. What the fuck? Computers are like, fuck them. Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about art. We're not talking about math. It's art. Like, you can't quantify it on AI.
Like, the argument against, I guess, Tim Robinson's flavor of humor is that, like, it is so often inexplicable and break smashing, and then in the Chair Company, quite literally break smashing. There is something so innately human about that right now. And I think just generally, like, that is, like, my counterpoint in all eras is, like, no, like, an inexplicable choice that you cannot explain is is a human one, right? But I think like it comes at a time where that is particularly important, and also is like about corporate ennui, and someone who literally says,
You have to show the kids that you can chase your dreams. I'm not going back to Fisher Row Bay. Ever. I'd rather myself.
and then like smash cut, he's back at that job and like what that means. So the chair company, I think, is in conversation with a lot of this too. One of like the things that inspired me and like, if I were an NPC in an RPG, like put an exclamation point above my head about this, like is an LA Times piece that focused on grads who had made the sort of Bindle excursion to Hollywood, and they're like, oh no, there's no jobs here. What would you, I think it's like, last time we spoke, we spoke about kind of like this, we spoke about the Wheel of Fortune actually in tarot, about like, the sort of like, you got to surrender. There is no rhythm to this, what would you say? Because those people in those articles were like, they just graduated UCLA, they just graduated from these programs. They're 20 something. Like, is there a way that, and I'm asking this is a total projecting question too, is like, is there a way that we can strike a balance between like, yeah, it kind of doesn't get easier, like the money like doesn't come until it does or doesn't, but like there are stimulating times and there are unstimulating times. Like, is there a way to make that comforting without making it over romantic in a way that it's not, because it isn't romantic.
The truth is, I think it is very romantic. I am a very romantic person at the end of the day. I have friends who make fun of me because they say that I am nostalgic for the present, because I am like, guys, look at us. I would say this all the time. We would be walking from like an ASP to McManus, which is like things that we don't do anymore. And in those moments, I would be like, look at us. We're in our 20s. We just watched an amazing improv show. We're going to go out to get a drink. Like, this is beautiful. Like, we're doing comedy. Like, this is the times of our life. Be like, Glo, fucking chill the fuck out. But I think in retrospect, like, I'm happy I did that. And I had those moments where I was like, this is cool as shit. Nothing like, love the chair company, love acting with Tim Robinson, love being on that set, being part of that. Like, that is pure magic, pure beautifulness. But like, nothing will beat being 23, 24, 25, and like eating a slice of pizza and holding on to a PBR
$1
slice and like a 250 PBR, and that is your night. That's all you're eating, all you're drinking, and staying up till like 4 a.m. talking shit about like some fucking comedy show that we saw that was incredible and blew our minds. Like, that stuff is
Show that will never happen again.
will never happen again. And I think that is like, listen, who knows what the fuck the future holds? We never know. Like, we graduated during a recession. Like, I graduated 2008, baby.
2009, mighty fine. Let's go.
Yeah, like recession. Like, I've only ever seen bad times, but like, I enjoy it for what it is, and the struggle is hard. It is hard, and I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I fucking did that, but it was also like, I did that. Like, that's also wonderful. I don't know. I think there's nothing I can ever tell a child, and if you were just graduated, you are a child, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can tell a child that isn't gonna sound condescending, even though I'm like, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. At the end of the day, like, I think you just gotta live it for yourself, but try to enjoy it, I guess. After an hour of speaking, I think that's what I want to say to
Yeah,
them.
and honestly, for me, I'm always like, every 3 years I look back at myself 3 years ago and I go, that was a child, so there's something I think to that too. And maybe we're trying to self-soothe a very practical ache of like, I wish jobs paid wages with like but the friends we made along the way were extra nice, like it is a very like sentimental ointment on a actually hemorrhaging wound, maybe, but
It's also like a really good bowl of meat, and rice. And but then
go on with
like,
elaborate on that. Elaborate on the bowl of meat.
it's a really good bowl of meat and rice that's just like really fucking well cooked. But then you get a little diarrhea afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like you don't go to Taco Bell going like, and my stomach will feel good tomorrow.
But enjoy the Taco Bell while it's there, because you know the diarrhea is coming.
Yeah, have a Baja Blast while you're there,
Just do it. And I think that is what being broke in your 20s and being like, well, there's no work here is like, well, you got to do your Baja Blasts. You got to have your Crunchwrap Supreme, it'll lead to some other things.
Yeah, and I think literally and like algorithmically, we're fed unicorns, like only success stories, because that's just literally how it works. Like a popular person posts something engaging, and then it comes to our feed. Like that's just how it works. So in that case, but for every one of those, there are a million bajillion diarrhea Baja Blasts, I think, happening.
I mean, for every Crunchwrap Supreme you eat, they're not all gonna give you diarrhea. Some will be fine. Some will be fine, and then some will give you really bad diarrhea. And I think that is like, you gotta listen. Some From my experience doing like this shit, I can trace a line from like from a moment to another moment. You know what I'm saying? Like
In terms of your own story, where we find you today, a day. By the way, we are, less than 24 hours removed from the season finale of A Chair Company, or The Chair Company. Yeah.
a line from like I mean, this is for sure me like romanticizing my story, but I'm a romantic bitch. What do you want from me? I took a workshop that Natasha Rothwell was gonna start teaching improv at UCB, and I was like, I love her. I'm gonna take this workshop. I met Naomi Reggae on it. She loved me. She put me on this show called The Female Gaze. The Female Gaze had Gail Keller, who is a casting director, come to it. She started auditioning me for stuff. Then someone wanted to be my manager, and I was like, well, I've booked a thing with Gail Keller once. And then she hit up Gail Keller, and Gail Keller was like, yes, book Glo. I don't work with that manager anymore. But that like led to a bunch of other shit that led to me getting an agent, that led to me getting a bunch of roles. And fucking Gail Keller put me on the Chair Company. Like there is a lot, like, and it was just a shitty workshop that I went to. It wasn't shitty, it was wonderful. I mean, it was Natasha Rothwell. It was a really fucking good workshop. But an improv workshop with someone I really admired. I took a day off of work for it, and I like take L's, but they could lead to something, like for this thing that has led me to so much success. It's like just enjoy shit and do shit and try shit and fail at shit. There is a line to that got me here. And of course, I'm like, there was a bunch of other shit that went along the way. And that was literally maybe 12 years ago. Like I was still working at Starbucks, like it was a long, long, long time ago. But like, I don't know, it was just fucking worth it to me. Like you gotta eat shit and fucking figure it out on the way.
Right. And that is a counterweight to every, sort of horror story that you hear, where it's like everything that gets the green light now is put through a spreadsheet, and if the algorithm says that it's worth green light and blah blah blah, it's like that. You just literally painted a beat by beat story of meeting human after human that got you to where you are, So
there was no algorithm all along the way. It was
yeah.
me being a weirdo.
So when people say, someone's an undeniable talent or something like that, like, do you think that has changed from one generation to the next, or is that true still, in terms of what the cream that rises to the top? And
opportunities and just like an immense talent. You know, the improv shows that we'd go to. Was that the same undeniable talent as the generation before? And now, what does that mean these days? Doesn't mean anything.
I don't think it means anything. I don't think it's ever existed. I think there have been people who have been undeniable talent, like Lucille Ball, like that bitch, undeniable. But I'm sure she worked really fucking hard at it too. Like she is, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think what I'm trying to say is I think there's always been people that are undeniable talent, and there's always been squirmy ass people who work their way up by schmoozing and like people climbing and riding coattails. I think that's always happened. I think that'll always happen. Because there are people that I know, like fucking Zach Cherry, who are successful, and it is like a 100% that man is the funniest person on earth. I've seen him be the funniest person on earth thousands of times
in
and
every kind of room for every type of audience, you know, like
it is like I don't think like, people watch Severance and they're like that guy's funny. It's like you don't know. Unreal, like unreal. Same thing, Richie Moriarty, who was on my mod team, like he's a success. He's like he rose to the top because he was always going to rise, but they also worked really fucking hard. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's just, and then there's some people that you're like, that's crazy that you're famous. like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and maybe what's to be said there is that it's not just an undeniable talent. It's not that doesn't mean anything, like that label has no meaning, but it's like it needs to be like an undeniable ethic, an undeniable like ability to continue to put your like an undeniable shamelessness, a sort of like audacity about yourself.
I also think it's just luck a lot of times. Like I really consider myself to be very lucky, and I don't know if that's a shitty thing to say, but I think I was very lucky to have taken this Natasha Rothwell workshop and have met Naomi that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think it was that like, and maybe someone else along the line would have put me on a show, but it was like very lucky that like it was just someone who developed a show like The Female Gaze, who like Rosie O'Donnell once did. Like it was
wow,
just like
I remember that. Oh my
isn't
god,
that crazy? Isn't that fucking? But it was like, but these things are I feel like are just pure luck, and I think they liked me, they put me on, and I was fun to work with. I was nice. And I fucking showed up, you know, and they were like, okay, like she's doing what she's got to do. So I think it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. It's a bit of like take shit seriously, like what I said. You got to eat all the Crunchwrap Supremes, and some of them will be amazing, and some will give you diarrhea. Because I also did a lot of shows that were just diarrhea.
Yeah, but you know what? Crunchwrap Supremes, clearly they're good enough for the risk, right? And that's really what it's worth. It's like check in with yourself. Is it worth the risk? You know? And if the answer is yes,
Then do it.
Then live Moss, you know.
The metaphor is so lost in the sauce, but I think if you get it, you get it. And that's it.
yeah.
You know, I know what to tell you. I'm fucking J-Lo right now. Orange drink.
What? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
They were like, "What's your favorite thing to get at Bodega?" And she's like, "An orange drink. If you know, you know." And people.
Oh,
like,
that does
know.
make. So I in that context, I do know what that means.
People were like, "We don't know what you're talking about." And then she ended up being correct. People found the orange drink she was talking about.
Is she talking about like a quarter water, like the barrel?
The barrel orange drink. Yeah.
We called those quarter waters back in my day.
Back in Brooklyn.
Yeah, different borough. Yeah. A little up north.
Is there any part of your experience on the chair company that you can point to specifically as being like particularly invigorating, not just like on set, but in the same way that you're speaking about the sort of New York City streets at 3 a.m. nostalgia way, like that sort of recharged, inspired sort of sense?
I mean, like every time it was just me and Tim in a scene, I was like, This is the best. It was just, it is truly one of the, like, he is so fun to play with. I think he will meet you where you're at, like, no matter what you like. There were times where I was like, I need to end this scene because we will keep going if I don't end it. Like, I would have to be like, all right, I'm leaving now because it's just like, it was just so silly and so fun. And I think on the second day, the second episode where, Jamie gets into the car accident. Spoiler if you haven't seen it, but that's crazy if you're watching this if you haven't seen it.
That's crazy.
When Jamie gets into the car accident and like just like before she like we like improvised a ton of stuff of like her being like, can I come? Can I wait? And like improvising like the amount of time it would take or whatever. Like, was, of course, it was all fucking cut because there was like no way it was ever gonna make it.
Should I?
Should
Should
I
you?
wait
Should I?
the
Yeah.
15 minutes? No, no, Jake, no. And it's like me, like also improv of me watching him from like through the window and him being like, stop watching me. And like, and, like, I think that was just like so much fun. It was just like, oh, like I feel like I get it. And I think he's seeing that I get it. And it was just really fun to be like, we get it. We're like doing a thing together. Like that day was super fun. But also like all the crying was super fun. Like just like if you could imagine, Nick, it is we spent so long me crying, so many versions of it. I think I already told you this last time, yeah, but it was like that day felt like, oh, we're just playing and we're trying to figure out what it is, and like, getting those men to laugh and getting the crew to laugh and getting like like all these people, like it was just like so fun.
Right, and not like it was all invented on the day, but like it sounds like there was a lot of room for there was always a sandbox on set for you guys to sort of play in find these sort of moments to draw out and milk and find places to play together.
For sure. And it was just like we would get the lines right. I would, like, and they also know exactly what they want, but they also were like very open to some to like which is what is wonderful about improv. If anyone ever does improv, it's that element of surprise, like the element of like discovery. And I think they were really open to that. And there were plenty of times when we would like discover things in the moment where it would be like, that's really funny. We can run with that. Which is, yeah, beautiful.
I feel like you're
Discovery.
I feel like your character in within the body of the show, Sum of Parts, season 1, exists on this like real it like straddles she straddles this very interesting balance with like I don't know. There seems to be like a lot of raging against the machine. If the whether the machine is Tim Robinson's character for some of the employees of the chair company, or rather of oh gosh, what's the name of the uh yeah, Fisher Roble. That like some are beginning to sort of unionize against him, or like Tim Robinson cannot handle, clearly like there's a break happening with his ability. I feel like every single time we see him in his office, he is not working on the mall, right? uh and but you express this tenderness towards him throughout the show, even in these little interstitial moments. Like I spoke to you earlier about like you just at the top of one scene inviting him to a 4-hour church like day or whatever. Like you never shut a door on him. Where do you see in a season 2, where would you like to play in that sort of like, I don't know, I can't see her necessarily being like, I hate working here. She seems happy to be there, so like where do you think she might fit? Where do you feel, having played her, that she might fit within that sort of hierarchy of rebellion and tenderness and neutrality within the body of the show's ensemble?
It's hard to say. It's difficult for me to say because every episode was a complete shock to me. Like when it got picked up for a full season, they were like, "Hey, do you know how to drive?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm probably driving Tim around." And it was like, "No, I'm getting into a weird car accident." So like, I don't know. I think like I don't know where the show is going, and every time I've been so pleasantly surprised and so like, like so happy to where they're taking me that I kind of like have given up on like
It's like an
figuring it
improv
out.
scene that you're in. You're like, I'm just sort of
Yeah,
playing, and when they call my character off the back line, I can't wait to see how they frame me or
I
whatever.
can't wait until they like put me in a scene again because I think whatever they do is so fun and wonderful. But yeah, I think you're right about like Jamie's tenderness towards Ron, I think is really sweet. And I think I'm excited to see it because I think she really wants him to do better in like in like the sweetest way, but she's like she just believes in him. And I think that is a thing throughout the the season that I've noticed that like Ron is a figure that people admire and people look up to. And there's been plenty of times that people like, talk to him about malls, which is crazy. And like, there's a scene where she's like, oh, he was really nervous to talk, where Barb is telling him like that man was really nervous to talk to you. And like, I think people like Ron, and I think it's sweet that Jamie, I think from what I interpret from watching the show, I think she's still very much like
Team Ron.
Team Ron. Like I know there's a good guy in there, but it's heartbreaking to see him kind of crumbling. Yeah, I think she loves working for Ron and wants to continue, but it's hard.
Yeah. Oh, so interesting. Because we don't even know if he's gonna come back to the company,
Right?
We don't know. We do not know.
Wild. Wild.
We don't know. And like, yeah, the thing of like, as a viewer, I'm like, what the fuck? Because,
I mean, the conversation, my friends and I just watched the show. It became Sunday night HBO, like appointment viewing for the gang, right? And we were sort of like, the conversation was like, is the show like, how much does the show want us to be tracking certain things? Like, we don't know, and that
don't.
and that in and of itself is sort of the delight in it. It's like it kind of feels like we are in the Jeep tour with him in a little bit, where he's like, how fast you want to go?
And he's also had a third concussion, which is, and I read the script and I was like, oh no, that's another concussion.
There are 3 moments in the show that stand out as particularly gripping, and that they sort of like lasso the audience back into reality, at least to remind them that they're not back. I guess, in the vein of what we're talking about, what do we track? How seriously should we be taking this? Like the moment where Mike's not daughter, reveals the truth about him. And then also, yeah, I'm like, taking my read, and I won't prescribe this to the show, but my read on Ron's motivation for the Jeep Tour stuff of like wanting to provide soldiers sort of like a halfway experience, to give soldiers a place to have an exciting experience that, it feels like war but isn't violent or whatever. That to me, I read as something that stems from a personal experience of war that he has. So in considering him as a veteran, it like paints the show with a total different intensity at the very least. But that might not be true. But I think with or without that being true, those moments all function as like these really, and it's a testament to the actors too, of like really gripping and yeah, sort of like a cold plunge reminder of like, no, you're watching a show that can sort of run the gamut. Like I kept comparing it to Twin Peaks. It feels as much Twin Peaksy as it does, I think you should leave-y, you know?
I love how it oscillates between.
But what a wonderful thing to have to surrender to. Chaos, inexplicable choices, things beyond comprehension that we can't turn away from. Glo is the passenger of Tim Robinson's Jeep tour in an age where more and more folks can't seem to smile. You know, may we all be so lucky, right? But there's cruelty in Glo's advice. You know, you eat the Crunchwrap Supremes, you get the diarrhea, you do the workshops, you be nostalgic for now. All that makes much more sense in retrospect. You know, what do we say to Brandy Hernandez from the LA Times article? Who doesn't know if she's 3 years away from, you know, that special workshop or from working at Starbucks or giving up entirely. Excuse me, I just want to sort of get Carrie Bradshaw here. But the difference maybe between a romantic origin story and a cautionary tale is just whether someone happened to be in the audience the night that you crushed. You know, Glo is undeniable, but she also got lucky, and she knows that. And the part that should enrage folks isn't that luck is involved, it's that the industry is actively shrinking the number of rooms where luck can exist. So maybe we don't need to make Hollywood Hollywood again, we need to make it like magic. We need to make Hollywood magic. I should get on the phone with Irvin Johnson. Take us out, Nick.
After all, with your help,
19-year-old son
I'm
of a
starving
bitch.
to death. Dear God, you made many,
Literally
many
go
poor
into the
people.
light, Nick. Let it go.
I
Go into the
realize, of
light.
course,
I
that it's
cast
no
you out.
great shame to be poor, but it's no great honor either. So I ask you, what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I were a rich man, all day long I'd biddy biddy bum. If I were a wealthy man.